Hello and welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to start creating more short content videos like this to hopefully uh, get traffic to the channel and have something to watch for people who can't, dedicate an hour or so to, the hour-long book club streams. But I will continue to do those streams because I think that they're important and there's plenty of demand for them. So today we're talking about rape culture viewed from the right. And so when I say from the right, I mean from the true reactionary right and not, the classically liberal, conservative movement that there is in America. So how should the true right-wing reactionary view rape culture? And I think this is a pretty interesting question that I've thought about a lot. And I think that, I don't know, you might call this horseshoe theory or something along those lines, but I think there comes a point you become so far right wing that you start believing in rape culture again. And I'll tell you why. I think the primary reason is you can look at pornography. Um, and to show an example of why I think pornography leads to rape culture, I want you to think about Indian memes, right? You remember Indian memes of how Indians would respond to women on Facebook and Twitter? They would say things like, show Bob, show vagine, just very sexually graphic things, and directly DMs to women that they didn't even know. And so, how does it get to this point? Why are they acting this way? And this isn't an original thought. I think somebody else had this idea, but they said, well, what was this Indians' only exposure to Western white women? And the answer is it's through pornography, right? So this is a typically traditional society, one more traditionalist, more truly right wing than ours, and yet they are behaving in this degenerate fashion. And the answer is from a young age they've been exposed to this pornography, and then this is how they view women, right? This is how they're viewing white Western women. They think that they're all degenerate whores that are quite literally asking for it because this is how every single white Western woman is depicted to them. And it's a good hypothesis. It makes a lot of sense for why Indians would be acting this way towards women. And we think that this might just be exclusive to Indians, but imagine we have a whole population of young boys that are having their, on average, first exposure to pornography at 11 years old. And this is before, you even have a romantic interest in women, before high school, before college. And, this is shaping all of your perceptions of how you should interact with women and what value women have in the world. And so you are having men grow up with a certain level of sexual entitlement. And to view this, all you have to see is the so-called right-wing response to rape culture, as it's called. You have all these cases of two people having drunk sex and then a man being accused of rape. And you have a lot of conservative types, clutching their pearls over this. And on one hand, I will say, if you are unjustly accused of rape, that's obviously an injustice. But on the other hand, if you are going around and, finding drunk women and having sex with them, why are we defending that? Why are so-called, social Christian conservatives, why would they ever defend that? You have these conservatives saying, "Oh, well, what am I supposed to tell my son when he goes off to college? Am I going to say that he can't have sex with any woman, that he's needs to be abstinent?" And my answer is yes. You 100% should have already been saying that. And um, it's not your right as an American to have as much zero consequence premarital sex as you want. And the fact that conservatives are fighting for that really shows how far they've fallen as far as standards. And another thing important about the way that these conservatives are viewing the issue is they're still operating in this liberal framework where men and women have equal agency in the situation. They're saying, can't a woman take responsibility for her actions? Does she have no agency? And this presupposes that men and women are equal in every single way, which, if you are a true reactionary, is absolutely not true. And there is always going to be a power dynamic, and it is kind of hard for a woman to have agency in that kind of a situation. The man is physically stronger, more imposing, and the ability to manipulate either through force or through cunning. I think that is something that we just totally ignore, and we're going to treat women as if they are totally um, immune to that kind of coercion, which is totally false if you are once again truly a right winger. And this doesn't mean we look down upon women. The whole thing is we should be trying to protect women. We should be trying to cherish women. We should have some kind of classical idea of chivalry that we're trying to hold ourselves to. And that means obviously we're not going to go around taking advantage of women, having premarital sex, and especially we're not going to defend those that do take advantage of women. So I think we do need to stop defending the Brock Turners of the world. I mean, what exactly is conservative or reactionary about defending these fornicators, right? Why is this something that we've come to as a right wing in America? So yeah, I don't think unlimited premarital sex with no consequences is really the hill that conservatives should die on. Absolutely not. And I think this brings up a larger issue of consent as well, and how this term has kind of been warped. So what exactly is consent? You say it's okay if you do this, therefore you doing it has zero consequences. And obviously, even if there's no legal consequences, we know there's going to be psychological consequences, moral consequences to everything. And there's certain things that should not be done regardless of whether there is consent or not. And once again, that involves moving past this liberal framework. So here's an example. If a person is willing to sell their body upon death, so I give you $1 million and you would allow your body to be used by a necrophile after you die, would you do it? And I would hope that you would say no, but I think there are plenty of people that would definitely say yes because of how much $1 million would increase their quality of life. And this has absolutely nothing to do with, their overall moral standing. Well, I mean, obviously, somewhat it does, because if you are a, intensely immoral person, you will say no regardless. But I would say you could take two people of equal moral standing, and one is a billionaire and one is in poverty. Which one is more likely to say yes to your following proposition, right? So, despite their equivalent moral capacity, one, based on his economic situation, was much more likely to say yes to your deal. So, would you say that that is consenting if the consequences were put so in a way that they were coerced in a non-forceful way, right? It wasn't literal force that coerced them, but it was this economic force. So we have to ask, what exactly is making women turn to prostitution? Maybe if we had a better economic situation, if we had a society that was, looking out for women and trying to protect them, and altogether, if we had a body of men that weren't, hooked on pornography and objectifying women by the time that they hit high school, then we wouldn't have some of the effects that we have today. And obviously, this is, only one way of viewing, the overall sexual revolution and its consequences. But we have to ask, as a man, what it means to be a strong man, a chivalrous man, and a virtuous man. And we have to say that there is a type of rape culture plaguing this country, and I think that we need to do our part to stop it. And we should absolutely not defend those who are going to take advantage of women, and also not immediately look down on women who do sell themselves, because I mean, on one hand, this is a pretty grave moral transgression, but on the other hand, these are products of society, right? In the same way, I'm not going to look down on a man who is a porn addict, because that's not really his fault. He is a product of society. I'm not going to intensely look down at a woman who sells herself on OnlyFans. I mean, I don't want to associate with her, um, but I mean, I do think she's savable, in a religious sense. Um, so I think we really need to, evaluate these issues from a true right wing perspective, and how, if we do have the chance to reshape society, what things do we especially need to change, and what are we going to do to build a better society that does not have these kinds of effects, and that, looks out for women and tries to shape strong, virtuous men. So yeah, that was just my thoughts on that. And I said some things that some people are definitely not going to agree with. So, please share your responses to that. And always, remember to subscribe, comment, follow on Discord, follow on Trovo, and please check out our next stream. All right, bye. Thank you.